Learning is the key to successful investing, and who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at Learn, Grow, Invest.
Let me know if you are able to hear me. Hopefully you heard that intro. If you didn't, I sincerely apologize. All right, so let me just repeat just in case. So we're going through the circular letter for the Fosrich non-renounceable rights issue. This was released on July 4th, 2023. So let's just get started. So this was released on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and we are viewing it from there. The link is in the description of this video. All right, so it says here for non-renounceable rights issue of 55,729,647 new ordinary shares on the basis of 1 new ordinary share for every 90 ordinary stock units. And this would be available at $2.50 per share. That's Jamaican dollars, of course. So what we're going to do is go through this now. This is the first time we're reviewing such a circular. So I'm sure we'll have some questions as we go through. I would have invited Mr. Foster to join us. It is relatively short notice, so I'm not entirely sure that he will be able to join us as yet. But just in case, it's an opportunity maybe for us to get some questions answered and so on. So let's just stay tuned for that. So there are a couple of things we're going to go through. One of which we're going to look at some of the definitions, of course. I have up here something from CFI explaining non-renounceable rights offers, so we can look into that. We're going to look at a summary of the issue, that's section 3. We're going to look at the detailed description of the rights issue. We may read the letter of the chairman just in case there's anything that we can glean from that. And then everything else, well, we may look at the provisional allotment letter. Everything else, I'm going to assume that you're going to take the opportunity to go through because, of course, we're going to try and keep this session within an hour. All right. So let's start with the definitions. So there are a few things that we're going to be looking at, right? So first, let's look at abandoned shares. It says here that provisionally allotted new ordinary shares which are not taken up or abandoned by the existing ordinary shareholders to whom they have been provisionally allotted. We have fraction shares here, shares representing the fractions abandoned by the allocation of the nil paid rights on the basis of 1 new ordinary share for each 90 existing ordinary stock units. The issue price, that's $2.50 per ordinary share. New ordinary shares, as I mentioned before, they'll issue 55,729,647 ordinary shares in the capital of the company. So that's going to be added to the existing shares outstanding. The opening date is July 11th. That's a week from today. The record date is June 2nd, 2023. And I'm actually going to look back because I thought this was interesting. The record date, the offer, the issue price, etc. Because one of the things that our community members are already asking about is they're wondering why the offer price of $2.50. So I'm going to look to see based on the record date what the shares were trading at that day, because maybe that is something that has determined the issue price. Of course, that's a question we're definitely going to ask Mr. Foster if we get the chance to speak with him. And then, of course, we have rights issue. That's the offer made by the company to existing ordinary stockholders to take up the new ordinary share. So if you've ever wondered what's a rights issue, that's the simple definition. Unallocated pool, that's the aggregate of all abandoned shares and fraction shares. We defined those earlier. And then we have unallocated shares, new ordinary shares within the unallocated pool, right? So those are some definitions. So let's look at the summary of the issue. The following information is derived from and should be read in conjunction with and is qualified in its entirety by the full text of the circular letter, including the appendices. So be sure that if you are planning to participate in this offer, you read the entire document, speak to your licensed financial advisor, and so on and so forth, right? So existing ordinary stockholders are advised to read this entire circular letter. We just said that. Each shareholder's attention is specifically drawn to the risk factors in Part 6. There's no risk-free investment. And so they would have stated some risks. You should definitely have a look at those. If you have any questions arising out of this document, or if you require any explanations, you should consult your stockbroker, licensed investment advisor, which I am not, attorney at law, accountant, and other professional advisors, right? Okay. All right, so this rights issue is made solely to existing ordinary stockholders, and applications for new ordinary shares by persons who are not existing ordinary stockholders as at the record date will not be considered or accepted, right? So that's the first thing we'll highlight here. Rights issues apply to existing shareholders. It's not like an IPO, which would essentially be available to anyone. A rights issue is essentially made as an offer to existing shareholders. And of course, the record date that we have here is June 2nd, which means you'd have to be a shareholder of Fosrich as at that date to be eligible to participate in this rights issue at the issue price that's there. Now, of course, we'll talk about some other things to consider later on, but let's continue here. The method of the issue: by way of provisional allotment under a non-renounceable rights issue. All right, so I'm going to talk about that for a little bit. And as I said, I had an article up here on CFI that kind of explained the summary of what a non-renounceable rights offer is. So I'm just going to read the summary, and I'll encourage you to give it a read when you have the chance. The whole document, of course. So it says here, non-renounceable rights offered by the company give a right to the shareholders to buy extra shares at a discount. Non-renounceable rights are not transferable. Hence, the shareholders cannot trade the rights in the market. Shareholders can take advantage of the non-renounceable rights offering and compensate for the effect of dilution of shares by buying new shares on a discount. All right, so just some things that I'll highlight here. Usually how these are structured, you're expecting to get access to additional shares at a discount, right? That's what you typically expect. And again, that's why we wanted to look to see what the price would have been at June 2nd, which would have been the record date, to see if in fact this as at the last currently traded price, if this would still be considered a discount. We'll look at that in a second. Non-renounceable rights are not transferable, something to note there. And there is some sort of dilution of shares. There is dilution of shares that takes place. So those are the three things we'll just wanted to highlight here so that you're familiar. Now, we're not going to get into which one is better, rights issue versus APO and all of that in this video, but just, important to note those things just now, right? So how payable? In full acceptance by the existing stockholder, right? We'll get to that a little later, but just something to note, all right? Let me just see a quick check here if I have any questions. I'm just checking with Mr. Foster to see if he's able to join us. Again, I did give him not really much notice there, so we'll see. Okay, all right. So we'll talk about this a little later, but it says, notice it says here provisional allotment. So of course we'll again just talk about that later, right? So it says the unallocated pool, new ordinary shares arising from abandoned fractions, because the number of stock units, existing ordinary stock units held by the existing ordinary shareholders cannot be divided by 90 without leaving a fraction, right? And new ordinary shares not taken up by the existing ordinary stockholders to whom they are provisionally allotted, those would be abandoned shares, will fall into an unallocated pool, right? So you're kind of, understanding how this is structured to work. Existing ordinary stockholders can purchase the new ordinary shares provisionally allocated to them, as well as apply to purchase additional new ordinary shares from the unallocated pool. So that's how you'd be able to apply for more shares than you'd be provisioned. Then it says here, the principal means of submitting a provisional allotment letter as well as an application for additional shares will be through the electronic platform provided by Mayberry, right? So mayberrynv.com. And Mayberry seems to be the one leading this issue for Fosrich, right? Existing stockholders with an account with Stocks and Securities Limited, very important to note, because this was a part of the reason that was communicated in terms of the delay of this rights issue. So let's see what it says here. For persons with existing account through SSL, as at the record date, will be allowed to participate on similar terms to other ordinary shareholders, save and except that to participate, those that maintain existing ordinary stock units through SSL will need to complete a designation form selecting another brokerage account held with a broker other than SSL. 2, the selected brokerage account must be in the same name and with the same TRN as the account held at SSL. So if you have an account at SSL, you can, for example, you can have those shares be sent, the shares that you're purchasing sent to another broker once it's in the same name and the same TRN number as the account that's currently at SSL, right? So, 1 second here. All right. Okay, so let us, Mr. Foster is actually backstage. So I'm going to bring him on now as we go through. Good evening, Mr. Foster. How are you doing?
Jeremy, good evening. Good to be on with you and your viewers and listeners and whoever they may be.
Yes, happy that you're here. This is by far the shortest meeting we've ever scheduled. So thank you for being available.
I'm so sorry, man. I was a little bit engaged and I'm so sorry, but I'm here and I'm hoping that I didn't mess up your program.
No man, no worries. We're actually just going through the circular. So as
Right,
I
right.
figure, what we could do, if it's okay with you, just kind of go through the summary of the offer, and then we'll kind of go through the questions that have come up so far, and then we just kind of have a discussion around it. We can always do the rest of the review another time, but I figure you may have somewhere around 30 minutes with us, and then we'll let you go.
No problem at all. I'll try my best.
Okay, great. All right, so everyone in the comments, just if you have questions relating to the rights issue, now would be the time to post them in the chat. We'll go through the summary of the offer, and then we'll pose any questions that we have to Mr. Foster. I see Robert is already asking a question here, but we'll get to that in a second, right? So we've gone through the summary here. For those who missed it, I'll just quickly recap. Shares are made available by way of provisional allotment under a non-renounceable rights issue. We defined that previously. The issue price is $2.50. The record date is June 2nd, 2023. The opening date would be July 11th, 2023. The closing date would be August 18, 2023, and we described the different pools that we have, the unallocated pool, the application for unallocated shares, and the conditions that would apply to persons who are currently holding shares with SSL, what you would need to do in order to participate in this offer, right? So what we'll do, Mr. Foster, since you're here, can you give us just a little bit of background as to the rights issue? Help us to understand what would have went into the process of, selecting this method, and then we'll focus the rest of the questions on the offer itself.
Okay, great. I'm happy to answer the question. Now, we went to the market just over 5 years ago, and we, as a junior market company, could have share capital of up to $500 million. We left about 140 on the table, meaning that we didn't make all the offer, for that. And that has been sitting there, and we've heard the cry of some of our beautiful and wonderful shareholders. And we also see the need to go to the market for a specific reason to capture some demands that we are facing, instead of going and look for interest capital. We just decided that we're going to go for the patient capital, and therefore this is why we are trying to do this rights issue instead of doing it any other way. This is because it's not a great raise and it's not a big number.
Yeah.
If the present shareholders participate in it, the ones with the majority shares, then it is so small. So this is why we think we did not need to go to an IPO or APO or something like that. It's best to just have a renounceable rights offer to the market. And we are here now. It has taken some time. I think the challenge that the regulatory bodies faced was how to deal with certain issues that were presented to them by some institutions that have the records of some of our shareholders. And it took them a little bit of time. But I think we are right there now where the offer is on the table, and we think that our shareholders who will be looking at this will get a real solid value for their investment.
Okay, thank you for that. We understand that it's definitely you have communicated in the past the challenges that were there, and we do understand that this is an interesting time, right? So we can't predict delays or challenges. We just have to kind of take them as they come, and one step at a time. In terms of the use of proceeds, the document mentioned that you'll be using it to complete the superstore that's currently underway. Can you speak a little bit about the use of proceeds?
Let me say this. We have a superstore that we are building, and the superstore is literally fully funded. Because of the length of time, things move a little bit fast when we are in the Fosrich space. And so because of the length of time, the shifting of that real need has taken place. So it's not really fully for that, because the superstore is going to require a lot more than that, to be built out internally. The construction of it is already funded. The internal part of it is also funded, and therefore we're going to be using it to capture some products that we never can get enough of, some copper products that now are available on the market at real good prices. And I think we need to take it before we go into the real demand period, which is after August into September, where sometimes the prices move 50, 60%, you know. So we'll just
So you're saying you're pretty much using this for additional capital because the superstore itself would have already been funded and funds allocated for it, and you're just taking the opportunity, one, to take up the existing shares that you had available to you as being a junior market company, that allocation being 500 million total, but you left 140 million on the table as you mentioned, and you're just going to use it to add to capital because you have some things that you want to take advantage of.
perfectly put. Very good.
Okay, great. All right, so a couple of questions surrounding it, and as I said, there are persons that are posting their questions in the comments, so we'll get to those in a second. How were you able to determine the price, the issue price? What went into that consideration?
I think the company has a strong value to it. We have moved from just being an electrical distribution store where we buy and sell to a more integrated company. You know, we have moved to become very strong in LED street lighting and LED products. We have also moved to become stronger in the industrial side of electrical business. So we have engineers who are in the space doing projects and vying for projects out there. We have also moved strongly into the renewable energy part of the business, of the industry, which is absolutely important to a modern economy like Jamaica. And we think, based on where we are driving this relationship with Huawei to a limit that is gonna be something else. I tell you, in the next couple of weeks, we will tell exactly how much farther we will go with this relationship. And we have also moved into manufacturing of pipes. And we have moved our capacity from just 3 million kilograms of raw material per year to just about 16 million kilograms. We are not just looking to be here in Jamaica. We are looking for the Caribbean and even further and beyond. And we are now in the process of manufacturing transformer coils in Jamaica. So when you look at what the company is doing and so on, the value is really in the market right now is suppressed by what is happening globally and by the fact that maybe government papers look a little bit more interesting and so on. But in the medium term to long term, I see great value for buying at this level. And a lot of people will get a lot of good good yield, if this is where we stay. So that's the reason why we have placed it at this number.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that. There are some persons though who have the perspective because, of course, the circular came out today. The record date would have been June 2nd. And what some persons are looking at, of course, is the price that would have been the last traded price for today, right? So some persons are saying, well, in this case, the circular price, the issue price seems to be higher than that of the market price currently.
It is so. And it is for the reasons that we just placed on the table a while ago. And also it is for the markets are responding now not to performance or strength. It's just responding to the fact that there have been interest rates or papers out there that have higher ticket prices. And I think it's a small raise, and I think people already they were ready to even go higher than that before. And I think it's a good level that we are at.
Okay. So you alluded to something earlier that I wanted to double click on a little bit. You mentioned, so based on how this rights issue work, if I'm to understand what I've read so far correctly, there will be shares that are provisionally given based on an existing shareholder allocation. And you mentioned, for example, persons in the top 10. And so let's say that everyone in that top 10 would take up those provisional shares. You're alluding to the fact that there may not even be a lot of shares remaining after that. Is that something that you are anticipating? Have you spoken with those shareholders? Can you talk a little bit about that? I'm not sure if you're allowed to, but
Yeah, I'm not saying that. My premise for saying what I said earlier on was that it is not a 500 or a billion or $2 billion is going for us. So the market, I think, is responding in a proper way right now. The fact that they want the shares, and it's not a lot. I think it is something that people are going to go for, and I wouldn't be able to say how connected we are to other persons, because we do not go and solicit and try to get people to do what they don't want to do. No, we don't do that. We just leave it for the market to decide.
Okay. So let's say that so let's look at maybe best case, worst case, if that's okay with you. So let's start with worst case. So let's say that you seek to go for 140 million, or the 55 million new shares. And let's say that for some reason, those shares aren't fully taken up. What would be the next step?
The next step is the shares will be taken up. So I would encourage everybody out there not to give up their allotment. That's what I would say. While we do not solicit, but we know people who probably are just willing and want to go. If you leave it on the table, they will take it. And so I'm sure that you don't want to lose an opportunity that you could benefit from in the medium term. Based on what we are doing, we have made it clear of some of the things that we are doing, and a lot of people believe in what we are doing. We strongly believe in what we are doing, and we know that we're going to get some numbers that is going to be incredible in the next shortest possible period. And so I think Fosrich is a good buy at even $3. It's a $3. It's a very good buy.
Okay. So it's so we spoke about possible worst case. So let's say we focus on everything going as planned. What are the steps a shareholder can expect? So if for example, John is a shareholder, let's say John has 1 million shares. John will have here, let me see what it says here. So John will have provisionally allocated, trying to find the number here, 1 shares for every 90 shares he owns, right?
That's exactly it.
And
yes.
then now John has the opportunity to formally apply for those shares,
Yes.
and pay for those shares. And then once he does that, he will be awarded those additional shares. If persons have shares provisionally allocated and they do not take up, that's when it goes to the unallocated pool.
Right.
And then persons will have the opportunity now to purchase from that pool if it is they want additional shares further to what they would have been provisioned. And then once those payments are made, transactions settled, and then persons will be awarded their shares after the offer is closed.
Absolutely, you're so correct. You're a genius at this.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to have persons, understand that process.
The sequence, yes.
Yes.
Process.
Okay. All right. So let's get to some of the questions. Because the offer is fairly straightforward, I'll definitely say that. Document was easy to read and understand, and so there shouldn't be much to process here. And I noticed that some financial information is here as well, but of course we could also view the quarterly reports for that. So let's go to some of the comments here. I must say, Mr. Foster, some persons aren't necessarily happy in the comments, so I'm just giving you a little heads up.
No problem at all. No problem.
Questions. So let me see here. So Robert is asking, how does the rights issue price make sense? I know you commented on that before. Is there anything further that you'd like to say to this in terms of, you know, how the price was considered?
I said it earlier, and it's just to reiterate some of those points. We have some strong additional revenue streams that we are working on. If you remember, recently we have embarked on a program on building out a new company in the USA called the Fosrich USA Inc. And that is for a particular reason. As you know, we are in that space building out a distribution, a supply distribution channel with our PVC pipes. And we see where a lot of value has fallen off the stock, but the stock has great opportunity to get back there and further as we move into the rest of the year.
Okay, can you say a little bit more about that? You kind of just streamed past that that note just now. Is there more that you're able to say?
Well, Fosrich USA Inc. is set up as a company in the USA, and we are in the space of working with the minority group. I don't want to give the trade secret, but the minority group has been allocated a certain portion of the infrastructure built out by the USA. In between now and 10 years, it will be $10 trillion. At least $1 trillion a year should go to minority companies. And we have seen where there's some inability for these companies to access these projects because of relationship and supply. And, you know, I don't want to say it, but there is a gaping hole there, and our PVC pipes and our relationship with Siemens and with Philips and with GE, we are able to operate under that program and do a lot of supplies to that segment of the market at least. And that won't be like, we're not going to build out a store up there. We're just going to, we call it now, transport it from Jamaica or move it from Mexico, from Philips or Siemens plant, and then we would be able to supply these channels. And so we see that there are a lot of opportunities out there. Yes.
Right. Definitely sounds that way. There's a question from L.E.A.R.N here. L.E.A.R.N is asking, if the rights issue fails, will you utilize the option of an APO? I know that you've spoken with confidence about this already.
We're just going to remind you that in life things do happen, but that's not going to happen this time.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, Ali.
Ali is pretty much asking the same question. He's asking, if the offer take-up is below what is expected, is there a plan B? So Ali and L.E.A.R.N, Mr. Foster is saying that based on the amount that they're seeking to raise, 140 million is he thinks is going to be very all right. He thinks that the offer will be successful. Let me say it that way.
Let me put it this way. There is a block of shareholders that covered about 80% of the offer, and they are definitely going to take up their offer. And so you see what I'm talking about. The offer is something that is going to be pretty small. If these persons leave the offer on the table, some of the offer on the table, then it will be a little bit bigger. But I see where with 80% of it or 85% of it going to be taken up by the majority shareholders. I think it will be a winning offer.
Okay. And in general, again, the offer, the amount being raised is small. We've seen companies come to market seeking to raise this amount, and it's oversubscribed by 4 or 5 times quite easily. So I understand what you're saying there. Let me see if there are any other questions here. Let me see. I'm not seeing any specific questions here.
I think we have been very clear. Eh? We have been very open and clear, and so your group is okay.
Okay, so can we? So I do see, as I said, there are some persons in terms of sentiment, I guess, not fully understanding how the offer, the issue price was formalized, and the strategy behind it. So I think that's where the disconnect for some persons may be happening. But I think that your explanation, the details of the circular that we've gone through, has been fairly clear in terms of your expectation. But I will ask you though, in terms of so you did mention that the funding that is required for the super center is pretty much there. How are we with that project? You mentioned being able to complete it sometime in 2024, I believe, on our earnings call. How is that project progressing?
Yeah, project meeting last week. We're just on schedule. Maybe a couple of weeks off because of maybe rain and so on. But the contractor is able to make up back. As they are doing right now, and I think we are scheduled for a super store in 2024, sometime mid 2024, and time after June, July, we should be trying to move in there next year.
Okay, so pretty much a year from now.
Yes, because construction and then build out. To go in, you have to have a full team of people to go in to make sure that all your displays and so on are in place and all of that. So it gave us a couple of months to get that done. But actual construction or handing over will be done a little bit earlier than maybe 2 or 3 months before we actually open. I think what's going to be there, as you know, we're going to have about 35 to 40,000 square feet of ground floor, which is going to be a super store where you can get all of this stuff, modern digital stuff, for whether it be solar, whether it be household, whether it be lounge things, whether it be just your electrical, whether it be whatever you want to get. We want to have that there. And then at the other level, we are having food available, like some good strong fast food. And then the other level, we're going to have 600-seater BPO. And then on the other level will be, the fourth level will be the Fosrich floor. And then above that, we're going to have amenities like for about 5 other restaurants and lounge and a food court. And also we're going to have on top of the building, on top of the 5th floor, we're going to have a gym. We're going to have somewhere for people to a seminar, 2 or so seminar facilities. Because in Kingston right now, there are 1 or 2 hotels that just dominate. Yes. And you can't get spaces to have your meeting that can hold 150 or 200 people, whether it be a retreat or whether it be just a function, and so on. And so that area is an area that we think there's nothing near there. Everything, the 2 or 3 hotels are in the heart of things. So we are looking at that. And so all of that is what we are putting in there. And we should have a kind of a close to fine dining, also restaurant there, something like that. So that's what we're looking at. We're tying up all those deals with those persons who are to come in. And so we're going to be having enough parking We have 208 parking. Underground, we're going to be having roughly 160 parking on the ground, and on surface, the remaining portion will be on surface. And so we are catering for the comfort of the customers, the staff, and therefore we we think this is where Jamaica needs to go when they are making facilities um, and offering these facilities for people to come and shop. And so we, and it also will be fully solar in the areas where solar can operate in terms of once you have the roof space, which we're going to have enough roof space, we can drive the facilities on the outside and some of the other common areas with solar. And so we're not just speaking about the use of renewable energy, we are ourselves going to be using it. And we just want to thank Jamaicans and our listeners for believing in Fosrich, and we think that working together, we all will benefit. And one of the fundamental things that we really want to do is to encourage Jamaicans to shop outside of working hours. Do you know what I mean? It is a thing that destroys an economy. When you open your office in the morning, business is open at the same time.
Yeah.
When you close in the evening, business is closed. And so your shop closed at the same time and so on. We want to have um, longer hours. So we want to have earlier start time to 7 o'clock, and we go up to 10 o'clock on the nights when we are open, except one night of the week. We want to go up there so people can leave work in the evening and come to shop in a timely manner for their stuff, whether they are renovating their home or looking at stuff or just coming to eat something or something like that and so on.
Yeah.
So we want to make that change here in our business psyche.
The only thing that sounds missing there is a studio space for Learn, Grow, Invest. I don't know if we can fit that into the store plans.
If you continue to be so erudite, then we might just give you we might just work in that.
Sounds like a plan, definitely. So I
Goodness.
noticed that Mayberry is the seem to be the one assisting you with this rights issue. Limitless is asking, is Mayberry now your financial advisor outside of this equity raise?
Okay, Mayberry has been playing a real strong role in advising us. They have some real good advisors, and we are connected. They understand what we're doing and where we want to go, and therefore we are pretty comfortable working with Mayberry on this. And yes, they advise us not only on this but on other stuff that we are looking at. They advise us.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Limitless Podcast is also asking, how does Fosrich plan to capitalize on the integrated resource plan number 2 that the Jamaican government has spoken about, where wind energy production is estimated to increase by almost 9 times by 2041?
We have chosen an area while there is a clear pathway for wind, which we can predict it, but there is also a very clear, word for solar, because the sun is almost like you get 90% of your sunshine guaranteed per year. Now they are predicting that the wind will be a little bit more active than it is right now. That's a prediction. But look at history. The sun in Jamaica has always shone 80-90% of the time. And I think that is such an easier, and it's not just because it's easier to us, but it's something that people can see and touch and feel. Because in case there's I'm not going to throw any negative on it, but I think the solar is better for us and Jamaica right now than the wind. Yes.
Okay. All right. Next question here. Are there any plans to collaborate with Wigton or the International Electrical Consultants, that's IEC?
Well, Wigton is in the renewable space in terms of wind. We are in the renewable space in terms of solar. And if there is a need for joint venture, then we are always going to be looking at it. We have stated clearly in our last media release that we have a 2027 plan, and that plan has legs, and we want those legs to go deep in the ground. We want to be um, partnering. We are looking for acquisition, and we are also looking to export. And so if there's a good deal that comes to the market, then we are always going to be looking at it. It doesn't mean that we're going to go there if it doesn't fit our suit and not going to give the results that we need. But we are always willing to look at it.
Okay. Is Fosrich looking to form a partnership with the NHT for its products such as the solar panels and electrical fittings? I know NHT has this loan that they give you specifically for solar. So L.E.A.R.N is saying, a partnership would make sense with NHT specifically.
A partnership will make sense. We are down the wicket working with some real strong financing partners, and we are not able to single out one of them and say, yes, we are dealing with this one right now, but we are very much coming with, I can say, we are coming with a financing that I can speak that on your show, Jermaine. Coming with a financing plan, and it's going to be something that people can get their water heater and their solar system and pay over a period of time and make it be easier for them to live and exist in this kind of a environment. I will say that at this time.
Okay. Sounds like we can save it for our earnings call. That's maybe the best case.
I knew you would have said that.
I had to. DeAndre is saying that a bright future ahead for the company. I definitely agree there. Limitless Podcast is asking if Mayberry is intending to take a top 10 stake in Fosrich at some point this year. Very direct question.
Yes, very direct question. I'm going to answer you very directly, as I've always tried to do. We have had no conversation with any institution or any individual about any stake in Fosrich. None at all.
Okay. All right. Elaine is saying that you're turning up the charm tonight. You're working to make the $2.50 look attractive. Well, Elaine, that's a very interesting comment,
It's more than the charm, Elaine.
And so Limitless Podcast, Limitless, you might have missed this, right? So we covered this question already. They're asking about the rights issue price. But the last part they're asking is something that we did raise at the start. So the typical understanding of a rights issue is that typically the issue price comes at a discount to current market. In this case, you are saying, Mr. Foster, that the price as it is in your opinion undervalued. So months from now, possibly years from now, persons will look at the $2.50 as a great value. And so that's what went into the price, right?
You have said it right. I think we are strongly seeing that the valuation is not a representation of the company's results or the strength of the company, and also of the outlook that we see. And we are fully committed to being a part of this as shareholders. And I know others are fully committed to being a part of it. And this price is a pretty reasonable price.
Okay. I believe the final question that I see, someone is asking, so the comment that they said to me privately is that the PE, the price, the earnings of the offer price looks high to them. So they're asking what is the forward PE projected to be? I'm not sure if you can answer that question.
No, that's a tough question because that's a function of the market, right? That's really a function of what the market turns out to be in terms of what you are willing to buy it at, and so on. So, but
Okay.
but
Are
what
you're
can be
meaning the price element of the PE? That's what you're speaking to?
right,
Price
right.
determined by the market. Okay.
So we won't be able to. I mean, put forward a PE to the market. We wouldn't be able to do that. You know, it is the market's full
Well,
responsibility.
I think I understand what they're asking. I think they're saying, assuming that the price remains the same, are the earnings projected to be so good that it's going to cause the PE to decrease from where it currently is right now? Meaning, do
What I
you
would say, yeah.
perceive Fosrich earnings to be such that it would actually make the current price seems undervalued, since the PE is expected to go down from your perspective?
You know, from what we have been saying tonight, I think the I don't remember the person's name. You could glean from that's exactly what we are saying. That we have more substance and strength than what the market price is at this time, and
Okay.
because we believe in it, we figure we have a good, and you do have a good offer on the table.
Okay. All right. Aline is asking, well, he says the Q1 revenue was above 1 billion JMD. Are you expecting to beat this revenue for Q2?
As you know, Q2 just finished last week, and there's a gag on speaking on that. But all I can say, we are very aggressive in our numbers this year, and even if we don't beat it, we will not be very far from it. That's all I will say.
Okay. So
But
actually,
yeah,
I see. Well, I don't remember which quarter this is, but there is March 2023 numbers in the circular. But that would be that's March is the end of your Q1, right? Q2 would be June.
yes,
Okay.
last week is
Okay.
Q2, so we won't be able to speak on
You're not
that.
gonna see that
But
until maybe August, thereabout.
I think it is due August 15, I think, yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. I believe I see two more questions here. You recently spoke about aiming to make transformers available for JPS. Do you have targets for what percentage of their transformers you plan to make? Is it that you've taken over the entire project of making transformers for them? Are you the exclusive partner for them?
Put it this way, we are the exclusive partner. And put it this way, JPS has about 60,000 pole mount transformers. So when you walk around and you see those transformers on poles, they are so integral in transmitting the energy around. Without them, you would not get your electricity. They have need almost every year for repairs of maybe over 2,000-3,000 of them. Now, we have a plant in Clarendon, which is a 60,000 square feet of plant. And we have decided that, okay, we're going to be focusing on giving them these transformers, repair them, and return it to them and give them 10-year warranty, which is working well so far. What we have done, Jermaine, is to move now to say, we are making the internal part, the core part of the transformer, which is the coil. We have acquired our machine, and as we speak, we are making coils to fit those transformers. What will happen in the shortest possible time is that we will complete making the pan and make all the core and make everything. And so in a very short while, we'll be making transformers. Now, transformers are not only used by JPS allows private people to acquire transformers. So it is also going to be sold to the market based on the needs of the projects or the development or something like that. So while we are the single repair partner for JPS now, we are seeking to become also how do I put it now? A supplier for the market generally, and we are seeking also to become a manufacturer of the transformers, which will be in circulation very soon.
So
If
you're
I said it
approaching it
right.
from different angles then.
Yes, yes, because I mean, right now, to get transformers from suppliers abroad, it is taking some people in the industry, almost everybody in the industry, over a year,
Wow.
18 months. And so in repairing these, we can do a faster turnaround, right? If we can do as 180 of them per month, that is going to turn around faster for the industry. And if we can make the parts, bring the parts in and make them here, or make the parts from copper that we have brought in, then we could have a faster turnaround. Just focusing on Jamaican market right now, as are we also are in strong talks with about 5 countries in the Caribbean. So we are going to be in those regions too, because nobody in the region um, gets their transformers repaired. Once they're not good, they are thrown down and they are wasted. And so we can help them to rehabilitate them and save some money. And no government is going to say no to that.
Okay. L.E.A.R.N was asking, are you looking outside Jamaica? But L.E.A.R.N, he pretty much just confirmed that they are in strong talks with up to 5 countries there. So I believe that answer would be yes. Question from the Limitless podcast. I believe this will be the very last question because I do want to release Mr. Foster. This is not a scheduled conversation, so I want his family to be happy with me. So Limitless podcast is asking, why did you choose to partner with microfinance companies for solar loans, given that they typically offer higher interest rates versus a conventional bank? I think this may be
Okay.
alluded to companies like AFS and Dollar, so on.
Yes. You see, what is happening? The market for financing has been stalled. The market has been stalled, meaning that the AFIs, the banks and so on, they have some strong regulations and they require certain things. They might have a lower rate, but the onerous requirements from the banks. And that is not to say that they should go out and do what they're not supposed to do, but because it is not something that is, easily attained by those who want it. It is taking a long time, and people shun that kind of a offer. The micro persons, they might have a little higher rate, but they're a lot more nimble and so on. And so this is why we look at it and we say we would want to give them a chance to come into the market and give people an opportunity to say, move in this direction. And so that's the reason why.
Okay, and I do agree. I've neglected to take loans simply because the process was too cumbersome. That's definitely been my experience. And at the same time, you're allowing the client to choose who they're doing business with. So you've partnered with multiple companies so they can choose. You're not telling them go to company A or B. You're saying whichever you find most convenient. We have multiple partnerships. You can take advantage of it. So I think that makes sense. Well, Orville is asking you for a favor. Orville is asking if he can get 500,000 shares from you at $2 per share. Please and thanks.
If you would take it for $3, then Orville, you're a true Jamaican, Orville. You are a true Jamaican.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, Mr. Foster, I really do appreciate your time. I believe you have been very gracious in answering all our questions. I really do wish you all the success for this offer, and I look forward to us talking about some further conversations. I will be talking to you about that LGI studio because we've actually been looking at spaces.
If you
So
can, if you can wait a year out from now, maybe you never know.
if it's done right, I definitely don't mind waiting. So that's kind of my stance. I'm never in a rush. So
Okay,
okay.
let's see.
All right,
Let's see
let's
what
see.
happens there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Foster. I really do appreciate it. We'll definitely
Thank
speak
you.
again.
No problem. Thank you for having me and for your viewers and your community. I really appreciate talking to you and listening to your questions and answering them and so on. And I just pray that we'll just go out and make Jamaica proud. Let's get it done, people. Do whatever you do to your best, and let's build this country. All right?
Agreed. All right, thank you.
Yes. Thanks. Thanks.
All right, guys, I hope that was helpful for you. I see everyone saying thank you, so definitely happy to see it. So let's kind of continue with the review here. So let's see, where was I? So we're looking at, so we covered the summary of the offer, and then Mr. Foster came on and we were able to ask him some questions. So yeah, let's look at some more details of the offer, and then we'll kind of close out in maybe about 22 minutes. Right, so we'll try and keep this under 90 minutes. Let's see. So it says here, so the starting point on July 12th, 2022, at the AGM held at 9779 Malines Road, the stockholders approved an increase in authorized share capital of the company and granted the board authorization to conduct an additional equity raise, right? So this was known from July of last year that we'll be going through this process now. And this backstory was given by Mr. Foster earlier. I don't think I need to go there. And so what he was saying to this is that there was an opportunity for them to take advantage of the additional capital that they have available as a junior market company. So that's what they took advantage of. I think that was actually a great idea to do so. If you can raise the additional capital, then why not? So in terms of timetable here, it mentioned, so unless Fosrich notifies existing ordinary shareholders of a date through publication of a supplementary circular letter or by press announcement published on its website, the latest date for acceptance of rights and return of your provisional allotment letter will be 4 p.m. August 18, right? And as we explained it before, you will be given provisional shares once you're an existing shareholder, and then you have the ability to accept those provisional shares and make your payment. If not, they'll go to a pool, and then persons who are existing shareholders can pretty much apply from that pool. Based on what you heard Mr. Foster say, he's not expecting that to happen. So just take note of that, right? The company may close the offer once fully subscribed, so it doesn't have to go until August 18th, or extend the closing date if it considers it necessary. I believe this is just a standard disclaimer here. Details in terms of rights issue, we went through this already. The rights issue is non-renounceable, meaning that only existing ordinary stockholders as at the record date may participate, right? And we'll do another video about rights issue, renounceable, non-renounceable, etc., to explain those terms. We went through those already. Basis of provisional allotment, the rights issue will be made on the basis of 1 new ordinary shares for every 90 existing ordinary shares held by an existing ordinary stockholder as at the close of business June 2nd, 2023, right? So for every 90 shares that you have, so you could pretty much divide your existing shares by 90, and you'll see how much you'd be provisionally allotted If you wish to get more at that price, you pretty much would have to hope that there are some available in the unallocated pool to be able to take advantage, or of course you can simply purchase on the market, right? So entitlement to the new ordinary shares will be rounded to the next lowest whole number or to 0 in the case of existing ordinary stockholders holding less than 90 ordinary shares at the close of business on the record date. Fraction shares arising from rounding will be aggregated and will fall into the unallocated pool, right? Where the existing ordinary stockholder does not subscribe for all of their shares, those new ordinary shares, which would be now considered abandoned shares, not be taken up, will also go into the unallocated pool. Let me see here. Existing shareholders can purchase the new ordinary shares provisionally allocated to them, as well as apply to purchase additional new ordinary shares from the unallocated pool and application for additional shares. If the number of shares applied for in the unallocated pool exceeds the number of unallocated shares, then all valid applications for these shares will be allotted on a pro rata basis. Similar to what you have for an IPO, if there is excess, it's dealt with accordingly. All right. And I think we can pretty much save this for another video. Let me see if there's anything else to go through here. So this is the top 10. So I'd actually like this breakdown that they showed here. So they showed the shares being held by the top 10. And then what they have here is assuming that each of the existing top 10s takes up its entire provisional allotment. This is what the top 10 would look like. So it's showing you if the top 10 takes up their provisional shares, it will go from 4.2 billion to 4.546 billion, right? So bear that in mind. Let me see here, anything else I would want to go through. Use of proceeds. Now, we covered this before. Mr. Foster pretty much said that the capital will be used as the proceeds will be used as capital, right? So it says here to complete the second phase, but it's already funded and it's gonna be served as extra cash. So Chang, you're seeing Cecil and Marian there twice. Let me see what you're saying here. Where did you see them twice? Which page? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if that's. I should probably ask Mr. Foster about that. I don't know. It could be. I'm thinking maybe it's a separate brokerage account. That may be the case, because remember, you can have multiple brokerage accounts. So I'm assuming that that's the case, but I will ask him. But I do see it as well. Let me see. So I think that's it, right? Details about the company. This is detailed description. We've gone through it already. So I think this is a very clear thing to go through. Okay, so let's not close out this video unless we talk about some of the risks, of course. And as we usually say here, there's no risk-free investment. And of course, as we also say, you want to speak to a licensed financial advisor before you make any investment decision. So it mentions here the first risk. Well, 6.1 mentions that it's limited to existing shareholders. So if you weren't a shareholder as at June 2nd, then this does not apply to you. Share price volatility. I think this is pretty much saying that the trading price may fluctuate significantly after the rights issue and may continue to do so in the future. Standard thing here. Some of the reasons for the fluctuations may include but are not limited to, of course. It's saying In addition, prices on the junior market may be subject to volatility. Price on any market will be subject to volatility. Risk relating to the marketability of the shares. And okay, right. I believe, yeah. So I believe that's good for us to speak about there. All right, guys. So I hope this was a helpful video for you. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments after, if you're watching this on a replay. And hopefully we'll be able to get Fosrich for their Q2 earnings call. That's not confirmed, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that. So we'll be able to, at that point, hopefully a rights issue would be closed and we can hear some further feedback from Mr. Foster about it. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your participation. Subscribe to the channel if it's your first time here. Join us on Telegram if you're not in that group. And definitely look out for some other videos we have coming out this week. I'll see you in the next one.
Learning is the key to successful investing. And who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at L.E.A.R.N